Hey guys, this is Jay. This has been a crazy week for gaming. I mean, so much news has been coming out, especially today with Microsoft announcing the price hikes like overnight, which is crazy. I'm going to do a video about that. But I wanted to talk about Nintendo, of course, and everybody's been, really piling on with Nintendo, and in my opinion, rightfully so. Some of the things that I think they're doing, honestly, is anti-consumer. It's greedy, but so much stuff has come out ever since that Switch 2 reveal that I think a lot of stuff has been overshadowed and neglected and not talked about. So I want to spend this time talking about some of the things that Nintendo is trying to do and trying to get away with this Switch 2 announcement. And I want to discuss it because honestly, as a lifelong gamer, I'm also a person who is budget friendly. And my motto is friends don't let friends pay MSRP. So I don't care how rich I am, I don't care how poor I am. I think at the end of the day, you need to spend whatever you have and spend it wisely. You have the power with your wallet to speak to these companies and let them know and let them know how things should be and how you feel things are not going in the right direction. PC gamers know this, but I wish console gamers knew this as well. Is that the power is in your hands and the power is in your wallet. The power is 100% in your hands when it comes to buying these products. A quick example is just like PC gamers and the whole PlayStation Network requirement for Helldivers 2. If you guys weren't aware, Helldivers 2 came out, and when it initially came out, it was pretty much a big game that a lot of people slept on. And it sold like gangbusters those first couple of weeks. But one thing people don't realize or don't want to realize or acknowledge is the fact that most of those sales from Helldivers 2 came from PC gamers. Basically, it was 2/3 of the buyers or the money or generated from that was from PC gamers. And of course that means that only 30% or so of the sales were from PlayStation. And PlayStation was realizing like, hey, like this game is selling well, but how can we make it so that the numbers for PlayStation or PlayStation Network or making it look like it was more Sony titles than PC gamers or PlayStation gamers than PC gamers. So they decided to, after launch, add this requirement for the PlayStation Network. And PC gamers were like, no. The fact that we have this game, we bought this game, and now you're putting this requirement on there, it's is BS. Not to mention, like PC gamers, out of all the subscription services or networks, Sony's is the worst. Think about how many times it's been hacked. Think about how many free games and free movies and credits and all that they've given in the past because of that consistent hacking of it. So PC gamers were like, no, I'll just return this game that we bought from Steam. And Steam has no problem refunding these purchases. And you'll just lose those 2/3 of sales. And Sony quickly realized the mistake they made. And they backtracked. So that's just a small instance of you speaking with your wallet, speaking with your money, so to speak. But anyway, back to Switch and some of the things that I think have been overshadowed. Of course, the price of the console, the price of the games, and so forth like that. That's been talked about to death. So I don't want to talk about that. But I do want to talk about the fact that what they're doing putting things behind a paywall is what really kind of turned me off on buying a Switch 2. Because honestly, I was ready to buy it. As soon as they announced the price, I was like, that's decent. As soon as they announced the price of the games, I was like, eh. But once other things started to come out, I was like, you know what? I'm good. I would love to play that new Donkey Kong. It looks great. The Mario Kart world, sure. Why not? Open world Mario Kart. You guys are finally starting to see, there's other options and maybe taking a note from Forza Horizon. Cool. But 2 games aren't going to sell a system for me. So I was very apprehensive to the beginning, but at the same time, open-minded. But some of these things that they're doing, putting things behind a paywall that shouldn't be behind a paywall, is ridiculous. So first and foremost, there is a Nintendo demo, basically, that teaches you basically how to use the new Nintendo Switch. Now, normally this is something that is downloaded or already preloaded on a console, or the disc is inside the box and it's just something additional to get you started. Because once again, this is something that is teaching you how to use this new hardware that you're spending $450, $500 plus on. Well, this demo, this game that Nintendo is creating and offering for individuals to teach them about this system is $10. Now, I know a lot of people are like, Jay, it's $10, it's not a big deal. Well, let me put it like this. Think about this. This is a trend, or this could start a trend where having a demo or something teaching you how to use the system that you just bought, this could start a trend of those games, those usually bundled in software, pieces of software, they're now nickel and diming you and charging you for. I mean, I wouldn't pay the $10, but if it was already downloaded on my console, and it is a brief kind of walkthrough of, hey, this is what your system can do, this is how you can access it, this is what this button does, and so forth, and it's in a playful way, then yeah, I'll try it out. Because honestly, it's when you're talking about a walkthrough or a demo, it's one and done. You're not going to play it multiple times. If it's teaching you how to use the system, 6 months down the line, I'm not going to play the demo, or I'm not going to play that game. So the fact that you're charging for something that's basically a one-time use. I mean, even if I had kids in the house, even if, my girlfriend, my kids, all of us were bundled around the console, we would basically use that demo one time, that walkthrough one time. That's why it's bundled in for free. It's not a full-fledged game. It's not something where you could use multiple times. It's just telling you, hey, this is what this button does. This is how you access this. And the fact that they're charging $10 is kind of greedy. And I mean, there's other words I could use, but I think greedy is the best word that would fit this situation. Secondly, there's a button included on the new system, on the new Switch 2. This button, this new C button that's going to be on the right Joy-Con and it's going to be on the right-hand side of the Switch 2 Pro controller, that button is locked behind a paywall. And you're like, well, Jay, how is a button locked behind a paywall? What do you mean by locked behind a paywall? Basically, a paywall means you have to subscribe to a subscription service, or you have to pay extra to access that button or that feature. Now, keep in mind, this is something that is built into the system. It is a feature, it is a function that should already be available, but it's not. So that C button basically is your connection to chat and video chat with your friends. Something that should have been included with Nintendo consoles for a while. Should have been included with the original Switch Chat was used through using your own phone. You couldn't even, there was no mic built into the original Switch, so you had to download an app and, kind of talk to your friends through the app on your phone, through the Switch. It was convoluted and kind of, it was one of those things that they kind of did at the last minute. Obviously, they didn't really kind of think of it until after the system it came out. But this time, they have it. They have the ability to buy a separate camera, attach it to your Switch 2, which has a built-in microphone this time, and video chat while you're playing Mario Kart, or when the next Smash Bros comes out, or whatever, Mario Party. All these wonderful games, these family-friendly games, you can communicate with your friends and family across wherever, see their faces. That button is locked behind a paywall, meaning that you have to be subscribed to Nintendo's online subscription service to just access that feature built into the machine, which I get it, but at the same time, I think in 2025, voice chat and video chat should be included, period. Especially with a family-friendly console, with a lot of cool games that are going to be online and you want to play with people all over the world, no matter where they are, seeing their face, but Nintendo put it behind a paywall. Lastly, the last thing I don't think anyone has made it or talked about this, even though this was announced during Nintendo's Direct for the Switch 2, is that they now have a GameCube controller. They have a GameCube controller made by Nintendo, a wireless GameCube style controller coming for the Switch 2. And the funny thing about this is that with the original Switch, there are GameCube controllers made by Nintendo. And those controllers, either made by Nintendo or made by third-party suppliers, can play any Switch game. So I know there is a GameCube style Smash Bros controller that you can buy an adapter for, and you can plug it directly into the Switch and all that, so you can play Smash Bros old school style with that controller that Nintendo provided. But that controller could play other Switch games. There are third-party controllers that are in the style of the GameCube that are wireless, that could play all Switch games. But this Switch 2, now they are coming out with the Virtual Console for GameCube, which honestly is a long time coming. I believe they could have did it with the original Switch, but hey, this is something that I'm pretty sure they saved for the Switch 2. So GameCube games are coming to Switch 2 via the Virtual Console. So that's awesome, right? Getting to play Soul Calibur 2 with Link. I believe it was F-Zero, FX. I believe there was a Zelda title. I don't remember all of the Virtual Console titles, but I know one of the big ones that stood out to me was Soul Calibur 2. But here's the thing. I've never heard of a controller being hidden behind a paywall. So basically, this GameCube controller, this Nintendo GameCube controller that was made specifically for GameCube games, can possibly be used for Switch games, but instead, it's only going to work on the GameCube titles within the Virtual Console on Switch 2. So basically, this particular controller can only be used on GameCube games through the Virtual Console and cannot be used with any other Switch or Switch 2 titles. And I think that is insane. And I know with some of the other virtual console controllers, the SNES, the NES, the Sega Genesis, and I believe there also is the N64, is a little bit different because of the fact that most Switch games will require multiple, additional buttons. But I think the GameCube controller could easily be made to play Switch titles without any issue. And you can only buy this controller through Nintendo. You can't buy it through Amazon, Walmart, Best Buy. You can only buy it through Nintendo. They're selling you a controller that can only be used for one specific catalog of games. And the fact that the only way you can access that virtual console, by the way, is through the Nintendo Online subscription service. So I think it's crazy that this is going on. And I don't know. I really want to kind of get the fillers out there. I really want to get your guys' opinion because in my opinion, I think having a controller behind a paywall is insane. Like I said before, I know the Sega Genesis, the Super Nintendo, N64, those are a little bit different. But to have the GameCube controller not able to play Switch games is insane. And I'm pretty sure this GameCube controller, this Nintendo created wireless GameCube controller, it's going to be at least $49 for one. And I believe you can only buy one or two, and you have to buy it through your account. They want to make sure that whoever is buying this, they have a Nintendo account. They're not a reseller or flipper, scalper, which is fine. I appreciate that. So if someone does have a Nintendo account and they want to buy one or two and sell them, they can only buy two at max. So I appreciate that. But once again, if you're spending $50, possibly $60 for this controller and only be able to play at release 5 or 6 games, that's insane. They're really nickel and diming you on these things. And I really want you guys to think about it. Do I need this? Is it worth it? Is Nintendo taking advantage? Am I going crazy? I know I'm an old man, and my first system was the Atari 2600. So I'm putting myself out there when it comes to my age. But what are your thoughts? I'm going to tackle the Xbox price hike in my next video. I know this video kind of dragged, but I just wanted to get my opinions out there on this because I've been blabbing to my girlfriend, and I know she's probably getting tired of me talking about Nintendo for the last 2 or 3 weeks. So give me your thoughts. Let me know what you guys think. And take care.